Welcome back into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, producer Aiden, behind the scenes for today's live show. We'll run you through all the latest around the Dallas Cowboys as we approach Week 4 of the NFL season. Sunday Night Football, prime time, late night action. Another prime time game. Already have half of the schedule filled up with them once we get to this one. Who you got? P for the Packers, C for the Cowboys. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. It is the pinned poll as well. Who you got? P for the Packers, C for the Cowboys. Get some shout outs here as well. Only 66% voting in favor of the Cowboys. It is very rare. It's a Cowboys-focused show. We're all fans that it gets closer to 50. And when the Cowboys are supposed to win, it's probably around upper 90s, mid-90s. When they're not supposed to win, the underdog is kind of more like 75, 80. To be below 66 is pretty low. So who you got? C for the Cowboys, P for the Packers. I got C's from D Money, Brendan, William, Kang Nasty, Jason, Wheels, Phillips, Devon, Divine, Gun, however you pronounce it. Cowboy Rob, Lynn, D-Money. P is coming in there from James Thompson. Rico Dowdle Worshipper is in there. Carl Bolden. James Thompson, I think I mentioned him. The Great Duke Bothers has the P and then the sad emoji, which is very much understandable. Oh, by the way, speaking of, turns out that Chuba Hubbard is now on the injury report for Carolina. Might be a Rico Dowdle week for Carolina. So there you go. C from Jason. Harry says P. Adam says tie. I would rather lose. I'll be honest. When I was out for the Giants game, I really thought that they were going to tie that game. And I was going to be really pissed. I don't like ties. I think they're un-American. There should be a winner and a loser. That's the only thing I care. Like, winners and losers. Like, I've played Mario Party. And, you know, this might be way beyond your ears. Remember when they had, like, the balls all bouncing off each other? This is old school Mario Party. I literally just... I went hard to try to knock out the guy in the final seconds. I whiffed and I just kept going. I drove off. I don't believe in ties. Who you got? P for the Packers, C for the Cowboys. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. We'll talk some trade on today's live stream as well. Will the Cowboys actually make a trade? Jerry Jones again saying like, maybe, we'll see. And then he hasn't. They haven't really done it since then. And the names are like, I don't know if they're very realistic on that front. I don't know. It's interesting. I have my doubts. I also have doubts that they even should do it. Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comment section of today's video. $2 super chat from the Great Duke Bothers. We re-signed Lipke just to block? Earl Thomas, question mark. I don't have that many complaints about the contract given Lipke. It's super cheap. It's not really anything more than what he was going to get as an RFA. There's a very minimal upcharge on that. That doesn't really, just kind of guaranteed in advance, basically, which you were going to give it to him last year. So I don't mind it. I think there's some weird optics when you have your head coach talking about giving Hunter Lipke more playing time and wanting to get him. You know, he was like 20 snaps, and he's got half of that. Like, okay, so then like there's a disconnect there with what you want him to do and are asking to do and all that stuff in between. I think the same goes for Marquise Bell. Why'd you pay him? If your receivers are bad, which they are right now, at least the last 2 games in particular, why aren't you playing them? That's my question. This is the super chat menu. Any super chat like the one the Great Duke Bothers just did gets you a shout out. We'll discuss your question, comment, concern, everything else in between. $5 is a raffle entry for our to-be-determined raffle. I still haven't picked it yet. It will be something signed for the Cowboys. $10 is 3 raffle entries. $50 for a shot. I'd love to do a shot today. And $100, I'd even more love to do a beer bong. There might be a limit on the beer bongs. I do have to go pick up my daughter after this. So there might be a limit. But we haven't even come close to testing the limit because everyone's scared. So that is the super chat menu. 5, 10, 50, and 100 on today's live show. Same prices that we do for our games because the boss has said we're not going to let you drink for free anymore is what had been said. So that is the super chat menu on today's video. How about you grade Dak Prescott this season? Then we will bring back we'll bring in Hunter M and William Cook's super chats here momentarily. Grade Dak this year. I'm very curious how these votes come in. As they come in, Hunter M, $5. Tom, when is it time to be a chill guy? This isn't a Super Bowl team, so when do we start to root for better draft picks? Very funny to have a back-to-back chill guy comments. I have not changed my bio. It is still just a chill guy in my Twitter bio. It depends on what you mean by chill guy. If you're just, I'm still going to crash out during games. We had the first pen throw of the year. It's a damn shame I wasn't live for the Cowboys-Giants game because I would have been crashing out repeatedly on defense. I was losing my mind in the hospital, trying so hard to not swear and cuss because it was bad. In between, I'm going to be mostly chill. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. I think they could still be a playoff team. And that's if things go right. I don't want to... I can never convince myself to root for better draft picks until I think this team is just not going to be able to make the playoffs. And they almost proved me wrong last year anyway, which they kind of did. So, honestly, I would say check in, not after the Packers game. The Panthers-Jets games. Check in then. And then I think we might do a mock draft before then. But, if you can't win 2 of your next 3 games, I think we have to have real conversations about this team. Also, someone asked about Earl Thomas, obviously no. It's funny. William Cook, time to bring back Chill Tom. At this point, Jerry is going to Jerry. Yes, I will also still call them out for things I like and don't like. I don't want to be an enabler of well, that's just how he's going to do it. No, that doesn't mean that shouldn't be called out that way. So, I appreciate that, William. That's 3 entries. Hunter M got his entry as well for our game day raffle. Great Dak Prescott, A, B, C, D, or F. I see F and A back-to-back. Nothing quite sums up the duality of man like that, right? Back-to-back A and then an F. B plus, B, B plus, solid A. Too early. That's fair. That's fair. B, A, B plus, A, B, B plus, A minus, B plus, B, B. So a lot of those in there. If you guys have not already done so, make sure to like today's video. Free, simple, and easy. We're always aiming for that 50% like ratio. So if you haven't already, do me a favor. Like today's video. We're not quite to the even 25% figure, which is always a little bit disappointing. So like the video, please, and thank you. Hunter M says, I was at the Chicago game last weekend. I'm sorry. What you can't see on TV, how players are discouraged. Don't hype each other up. So disappointing. Especially that type of game. You do a good job on defense, you fumble. They march down the field a couple different times in a row for you. There's obvious frustration because people aren't executing the way that they need to. That leads to frustration. I found it was weird that I think it was SportsCenter posted the George Pickens seems upset on the sideline, which he obviously was. I'm 90% sure that clip came right after the interception. To not put that context, I thought was weird. But they're clearly frustration, as there should be. It has to change though this week. If that keeps continuing to build, again, we said it, in August. All the good vibes are great from Schottenheimer, but if you don't win games, no one cares. So, coming up on today's live show, we'll talk more in depth on both Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson. Some Cowboys trade rumors, ideas, comments from Jerry. A mailbag. Get your questions in via #Cowboys. Skip the line altogether via Super Chat. And we'll talk some more ball. Cowboys Packers additional Week 4 preview. All coming up here on the Cowboys Report. Tom Downey here once again for the Cowboys Report. I want to talk in depth about both Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson. Some news stats, however you want to categorize it here, I think Cowboys fans will love and at the same time also kind of hate about both players. Before we dive into that, we are 130 subs away from 226,000 here on the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, now is the time to subscribe. You get free daily Cowboys shows when you sub, watch parties, live shows, and more. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. So first metric I want to get into here is what's called adjusted EPA play. This is nerd stuff. So if you don't like the nerd stuff, hey, I get it. But I am a nerd, so it's fine. Ben Baldwin does what he calls adjusted EPA per play. Basically, you're trying to account for both the good and the bad from the supporting cast. If you do a screenplay and it's taken 70 yards for a touchdown, the EPA per play, that's expected points added, looks awesome because you had a 70-yard touchdown. But it was the running back or receiver who did all the work. If you, I don't know, throw a perfectly thrown pass to a wide receiver in opposing territory and it bounces right out their hands and it's picked off, that hurts your EPA. But it wasn't your fault. So it tries to adjust for some of the supporting cast stuff, offensive line, opposing defense. It's not perfect, but it's a good data point. In general, these are the raw expected points added per play leaders. I don't want to raise my son in a world where Daniel Jones is good, but apparently here we are. Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold's been hyper-efficient so far in Seattle. Drake May, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Dak Prescott is 12th. I think he's using the RB SDM EPA numbers are a little bit different than like NFL Pro numbers there. Dak is 12th. Adjusted. So again, to help overcome the drops that have plagued the Cowboys this year, one of which led to an interception, Dak is actually first at plus 0.35. That's 0.35 EPA per play. You do a 10-play drive and you're stacking up stuff here just like that. Sam Darnold is tiebreaker behind Prescott. Then your normal suspects, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson. Dan Jones has been good. What this means is, and it's stuff we've talked about before, on an individual basis, I think the eye test also does match this. Dak is playing some really good football right now. And it's not just the adjusted EPA per play metric that indicates that. There's a lot of stuff. He's actually second in PFF grade among QB, behind only Sam Darnold. It actually was Stafford, then Darnold and Stafford flipped after week 3. He's first in big-time throws. He's got like 3 more than anybody else, which is those tight window, big-time chunk plays. They have been drops on some of them. Completion percentage over expectation, which is based on, down and distance of throw, coverage. He's second, despite the drops. Normally, a lot of drops actually give you a negative completion percentage over expected. First in adjusted EPA per play, tied for third in pressure to sack rate. Not taking many sacks either. More on this to come and why there is a downside to this stuff. But first, grade Dak Prescott this season. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Grade Dak Prescott this year. Here's the bad news and the other angle of this. Dak's playing really good football, and the Cowboys are 1-2 with a really bad point differential, and I don't know how sustainable this is and how it gets better for the Cowboys. The issue here is, okay, Dak's playing really good ball. He's obviously not been perfect because no quarterback is. That's why it's all relative to the rest of the NFL. But objectively, he's been playing really good football. And the Cowboys still can't win games. They've had bad second halves in the first and third games. They rallied somehow against the Giants. The defense has been horrifically bad all season. The current team is a little bit too much to overcome right now. And in general, and this is not unique just for the Cowboys, this is true for every NFL franchise, if you need top 5 quarterback play to win games, period, that's not sustainable. It feels like right now, if Dak doesn't have his A game, which no quarterback has their A game every single season, maybe Cam Newton at Auburn, you're not setting up for success here. At some point, you do need other players on this team, the defense in general, your skill guys to not drop passes, to be better. And now you're down your number 1 wide receiver, and you're down 2 starters on the offensive line. Last year, we kind of saw there was a critical mass point where he just can't put any more on his shoulders and expect good results. I am concerned we are already at that point this season, and he's going to start to press. And when quarterbacks or players generally start to press, some bad things happen. I do worry that the overall supporting cast issues here are going to trickle into the other elements that are playing. Well, even your ground game has played well, but if the other side of the ball doesn't help out, it's all going to get bad. Today's show is made possible by Omaha Steaks. You guys get an extra $35 off with promo code Cowboys at checkout. That is during their Red Hot Sale event. You get an already 50% off site-wide, plus an extra $35 off with promo code Cowboys. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety. and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. For example, you could get some of the classic favorites. So sirloins, pork chops, burgers, franks, some fries, caramel apple tarts, which are actually pretty darn good, by the way, some seasoning. That's normally a lot of money. It's $129.99 right now, but it's under $100 if you use promo code Cowboys. Depending on how many people are in your family, that's a lot of meals for under $100. So use promo code Cowboys at checkout. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot Sale event. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code Cowboys at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code Cowboys at checkout. See site for details, links in the comments and the description of today's show. Let's move to Jake Ferguson now. Now, Brian Schottenheimer said he thinks Jake Ferguson is playing great for the Cowboys. And in kind of the inverse of the Dak Prescott conversation we just had, raw stats-wise, yeah, especially fantasy-wise, if you care about that at all, which we probably shouldn't. Jake Ferguson's got 32 targets, 27 catches this season, 183 yards. He's done some good raw numbers, although he's got the touchdown drought continuing right now, which is frustrating. He should have one. He dropped it. Here's where that ranks among all tight ends. He's first in targets. He's first in catches. He's second in yards because he's got 8 more catches than anybody else among tight ends. But he's 28th out of 31 qualifying tight ends in yards per catch. And there's one kind of concerning reason for that we'll get into. But so far this year, and I'm talking fantasy, I'm talking like real life football because he's not that great of a blocker, rank Jake Ferguson among tight ends this year. Drop that ranking for me in the comment section of today's show. Look, Fergie's got the great volume metrics. There's one big thing that is missing. Meat is being left on the bone, which you never want to do, especially if it's Omaha Steaks meat, and that's making guys miss. The previous 2 seasons for Jake Ferguson, Tucker Kraft is the other one in this category, has led the NFL in missed tackles and some good yak numbers too. 15 forced missed tackles last year, 18 forced missed tackles, all per PFF in 2023, averaging 5.6 yards after contact. This season, he's not making guys miss. He's forced 2 missed tackles all season, and his yards after catch is down all the way to 3.1. That's a significant, concerning drop-off. To put it in perspective, Jake Ferguson, every 4th catch made a guy miss 25% of the time, was 22% back in 2023. Now it's down to 7.4. I did not pay Jake Ferguson to become Zach Ertz. It's not what I want. I need him to do more after the catch. You saw it against the Bears. Bears showing all these exotic fronts. They're going to check it down to Ferguson. How many 3rd down plays did he catch the ball short of the sticks and not make somebody miss? That is where he has to be better moving forward. Now, there's also been some conversation about playing more Brevin Spann-Ford. I'm not opposed to that. Now, we know the Cowboys are going to pay the guys that they paid, but in limited playing time, I have been pretty impressed with Spann-Ford. Now, of note, that beautiful catch and run against the Bears got called back and did not count. The thing that stands out to me for Spann-Ford, on 36 snaps overall versus 68 for Luke Schoonmaker, who have we called his name one real time this year? The one catch, right? Spann-Ford's been mauling dudes in the run game because he's huge. Listed at 6'7", 270. Had that awesome 38-yard catch and run called back due to a penalty. I'm not opposed to giving Spann-Ford more looks at the tight end 2 spot in particular. I think that also helps kind of balance out. Schoonmaker hasn't been that good of a run blocker. Ferguson was really good against the Giants, but kind of came crashing back down to earth overall. I wouldn't mind seeing more Spann-Ford, especially with no CeeDee Lamb. I wonder if they increase their 2 tight end packages against the Packers. Give me your score predictions of the Cowboys against the Packers. And then we'll get to some Super Chats that came in as well. Score predictions for the Cowboys and the Packers on Sunday Night Football. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Hunter M was our most recent Super Chat. So Tommy Buster, which is a very fun name, good first name too, has this to say. Give me our top 10 pick. We will probably screw it up anyway. I can't bail on the season yet. I'm not even going to bail after this week if it doesn't go the way that we all want it to go. I think the biggest question mark you face here is what happens the next 2 weeks. Like that's where you start to get into some question marks and concerns of like, if you can't beat the Jets and the Panthers with the way your schedule sets up, it's over. Like you're not going to have success this year. So hopefully, we come back 3 weeks from now, we're like, okay, they're 500. That should be the goal right now. Jack Kelly, $5. What are the odds our defense actually looks better? Matthew Golden, 500 yards, 10 touchdowns. Micah, 15 sacks. Afraid that's what our future looks like. Slight exaggeration, but I get it. I'm sure the Packers, you got a pissed off Packers team who blew it against the Browns, which is not good. I think for you, the Packers have had success against you a lot over the last 25 years, 20 years, whatever it is. I am not confident going into this game. Hopefully your head coach is playing the no one believes in us card, because that's a good card to play. Like, they're big dogs at home. All right, broken controller, $2. Am I missing something, or why won't they just play man? I think there's multiple reasons here. It's not what Eberflus wants to do, for starters. Which, okay. My issue is, but the rest of your team is built for man mostly. Like, Diggs wants to be an aggressive man coverage corner. Kyer Elam was bad in zone in Buffalo. Deron Bland, I think, is actually pretty solid in both. Reddy Stewart's done a good job in his role. But I feel like we're kind of trying to force a square peg into a round hole. Maybe the Cowboys don't trust their speed. But if that's, especially in the back end, if that's the case, then you have faster, younger players than Marquise Bell and Wanye Thomas. So, what are we doing out here? Let's just get things figured out. Try something. The man they have played has been bad, but, I think they kind of one of those as the flea flicker. So, I was going to screw you in zone too. Hunter M says, trade Dak while his stock is up. What could we get? I don't think there's any real scenario that you trade Dak in season. I just don't think you're going to get the value you need. I don't care what Jerry Jones tries to gaslight us into saying. You don't get max value doing a trade in the preseason. You just don't. For an elite level player. I want to see how this year plays out. I think if you're trading Dak, you're rebuilding, which you can make an argument is actually maybe a good idea for the Cowboys. And I want to put this in the mailbag too, this question, because it's a good one. The Jones boys would never. I think you would have to accept being bad, actually being bad for a year or 2 years. And you can eat all the money. If the argument is, and I appreciate the argument here being trade Dak while the stock is high because he's good, and not, as I see sometimes, trade Dak for a bunch of picks, he's bad. You can't have it both ways. I appreciate that, Hunter. Let me get through the year, and if it stays bad, I think we should have conversations of looking at all the options. I would have loved to have seen this team for 2 or 3 years in a row now actually go be aggressive while you have the high-paid, really good quarterback. And if it doesn't work, blow it up. But if you're not going to pick a path, these are the results you get. Hunter M. back again with a $5 super chat. His most recent one was... Have you heard of the Miller Lite fan cam for home games? Nice Google. I have heard it. You can zoom in and see everyone in the stadium. Jerry Jones in row 111. Yeah, I don't have time to do it much during games because we're, doing the games. So I know it exists, and, there's probably some good crash outs in there too, which is always fun. Reminder of today's super chat menu. Any super chat is a shout out. $5 raffle entry for our TBD. It's assigned something, Cowboys jersey or Cowboys raffle. It'll probably be a jersey or a mini helmet again. $10 is 3 raffle entries. $50 for a shot. $100 for a beer bong. That is the super chat menu on today's show. 5, 10, 50, and 100. James coming through. Can we re-sign Al Harris? Al Harris right now is the Bears cornerbacks coach. They honestly haven't had the most success overall this year. It helps when George Pickens drops one and everything else there. I wouldn't mind, if you do make a change at DC, it's only going to get him as a DC hire. I wouldn't mind interviewing him. There is some familiarity there. I would like to see, an actual search done. If you do go down the DC path, Harris can be on my list. But I also think that we're accidentally falling into the exact same pattern here. We hire someone that we know. sometimes you're better off going different. Like, Cowboys knew Mike Zimmer. The Cowboys knew Matt Eberflus. They kind of knew Dan Quinn, essentially, from other interviews and being a former head coach, like, without doing real searches. I do think a real search, as I complain about for the head coaching side, is a good idea. You didn't do a real DC search. It was announced at the same time, Schottenheimer and Eberflus are coming in together. That kind of feels like it's an ownership decision. And then like firing guys. So he can be on my list, but I'm not just going to give it to one guy and one guy only. Coming up on today's Cowboys Report, Jerry Jones hinting at more trades. Potentially, maybe, we'll see, for the Dallas Cowboys, because Jerry wants to make the playoffs and thinks the Cowboys are a playoff team. For more news, updates, trade ideas, targets, everything else in between now and the NFL trade deadline, hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV for more free Cowboys YouTube videos. Here's what Jerry Jones said after the loss against the Bears. If I had the opportunity to really do something good with those picks, I would do it. We've got them, and that's one of the advantages to making the trade. You've got to have something that comes with it's really special. And if you've got the currency to do it, which in this case would be draft picks, we'll do it. Look, for starters, let's just ignore the irony of wanting to trade picks for something special, since you just did the opposite of that. Ignoring that, the thought process actually is correct from Jerry. I am not interested with this edition of the Dallas Cowboys team to do a trade just to do a trade. I don't think that's actually good roster management right now. If I can get that type of special player, I don't know if you can find one right now, because there's a reason you don't see many trades happen this time of the year outside of maybe the trade deadline move or something crazy. You don't see it happen that often. It has to be a young player. It needs to be a key position of need, which right now is insert almost every single defensive spot. And obviously be good. You know, let's not do another Jonathan Mingo trade. Knock on, hopefully that works out. If you can get that type of longer-term asset, then I'm very interested there. I don't know if a rental right now is actually in the Cowboys' best interest. We'll come back to a few spots in particular that I know have been popular discussion points online. But will the Cowboys make a trade? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Get those predictions in. Y for yes, N for no. Now, there have been many, including me, who have suggested, hey, maybe the Cowboys should consider a trade for a running back. That was more in the past on my end, but there's still plenty out there who want to go trade for the running back one right now. And I've seen some names thrown out there. Alvin Kamara because the Saints are bad. Breece Hall of the Jets because the Jets are bad. Devon Achane of the Dolphins, who that's the one I'd have interested because he's a little more under contract. He's still affordable. He's super young, explosive. I dig his game a lot. First off, I don't know if they're on the market. You know, the Dolphins, Saints, and Jets could have various fire sales. The Jets and Breece Hall make the most sense. But I don't actually know if the Cowboys need a running back the way that I thought they were going to. Now, if you wanted to, you could get Alvin Kamara from the Saints. You could get Breece Hall from the Jets. You could get Devon Achane from the Dolphins. You start waving around your first-round picks. Okay, teams will be interested. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. So I do want to emphasize that more so than most years, that the current cost is what matters here. Because you have to keep an eye on big picture and not just the running back short-term stuff. And the short-term stuff, as we'll get into, Javonte Williams has been pretty good. We'll talk about that here more in depth in just a second. But today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. It's simple to play. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You get those picks right, you could cash in. It's available in more than 40 plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. This is what actually producer Aiden cooked up, and I love this Prize Picks lineup here. You get your max discount. I know it's Jalen Hurts, but it's a half passing yard. You have to put it in. Jake Ferguson, more than 49.5 receiving yards. He's going to be heavily involved. And We might not like it, but Micah Parsons more than 3/4, i.e. should just get 1 sack. I love this lineup. Go download the Prize Picks app today, and you can ride it or fade it at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's look at Javonte Williams, who I was, at best, honestly, lukewarm about how good I thought he was going to be. I've been blown away in a good way. 43 carries, 227 yards, 5.3 average yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Did have the bad fumble loss. Some advanced metrics here per NFL Pro. And these are all among running backs only, so I'm not including quarterback stuff. 7th in yards among backs going into Thursday Night Football. 11th in yards per carry. Tied for 2nd in touchdowns. He's 8th in rushing yards over expected per carry, which is based on after contact and also how the blocking looks up. There's some really good player tracking stuff on NFL Pro. 3rd in yards after contact and 1st in success rate, which is relative to down and distance. Was this a good play for your offense? They've actually run the ball super well. Now, the problem against the Bears was the game got out of hand so quickly you weren't able to run the ball anymore. Like that was a game script issue, as the Cowboys have forced other teams into in the past. I haven't been overly impressed by Miles Sanders. At some point, I want to see Jaden Blue get involved. 2026, Sanders and Williams are free agents, so we can have this running back conversation again. But short term, right now, I think you have significantly bigger issues in Dallas, especially on the other side of the ball, which we'll dive into here momentarily. So I don't really want to, shoot my wad at a running back right now. I think that there's better options to if you wanted to go get help. So with that in mind, name a player who you want to trade for. It could be any position. Let's keep it realistic. Like, yes, I'd still have to go trade for Josh Allen or Justin Herbert or Mahomes, whatever. It's not realistic. Name a player for me in the comment section of today's show. The area that stands out to me that is both obviously in need of help, we'll see how much Jadeveon Clowney contributes this week, and I think kind of doable, actually, it's edge rusher. That, which of course it is, right? Some trade targets I've seen floated out there. If the Bengals keep collapsing, wouldn't be shocked if Trey Hendrickson ends up being available, but he's old, expensive, and wants a new contract. Bradley Chubb is expensive next year, under contract, but is cheap right now. The Dolphins might be in fire sale mode. I bet they will be willing to trade away Jalen Phillips, his teammate, as well. But he's also with 1 year left on his contract. He's been banged up a lot last year. You almost want to treat that one like that Chase Young trade years ago of just a rental and not commit to it. I've seen Danielle Hunter thrown out there. Houston is trying to win games right now with their young franchise QB. I don't think they're going to trade him. They also just paid him. If you start waving around the first-round pick, okay, you could definitely get one of those guys for sure. Is that a good idea, though? There's no doubt they help, but at what cost? I'll go in depth on that in a second. But do you want, just in general, the Cowboys to make a trade right now? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Do you want the Cowboys to go out and make a trade? Big picture, I want to emphasize this stuff on any and all trades, just we said only 1 and 2 right now. There is no doubt the Cowboys could make a trade happen if they wanted to. You got 2 first-round picks. You've got the ammunition to go do something if you want to. That doesn't mean you should. We should learn our lesson from Jurassic Park. You shouldn't be so obsessed with what you can do that you've thought about what you should do. The question is, can you find the value that makes sense for the reality of where this team is at right now? We have to be able to self-scout, self-identify, something I don't think the Cowboys have been particularly adept at over the last couple of seasons. The core issue that I don't like saying, but I do think we need to acknowledge, is this Cowboys team might not be good enough. A trade helps you, but for how much in terms of help and for how much in terms of the cost? The Cowboys' timelines right now are all screwed up. The offense, who of course made the trade to go get George Pickens, a win-now move, they're built to win now. Like, the offense in and of itself is at minimum playoff caliber. The defense right now ain't close. Your DTs are better. I overall like your defensive tackle room, but your edge rusher room isn't. Your linebacker room isn't. Your cornerback room, in part because of injuries, isn't. Your safety room isn't. You need what? We're asking you, like, another edge, a linebacker, maybe a corner, a safety or two. That's a lot to do and change and make competent enough in late September. Trading Micah, despite what the Jones boys tried to gaslight us into believing, it meant you hurt your 2025 chances. You were never going to be as good on defense without him. So now you have to kind of reevaluate what are our short-term and long-term goals. I think, unfortunately, your best path, and I reserve to change my mind until the trade deadline. You don't have to make a decision right now. You can kind of let things play out, which is what you should be doing too, is maybe you use this as a kind of setting the base year. And then next year, next off season, when you still have the trades, the picks, you still have more options available, maybe then you start to be a little bit aggressive. Right now, they're just disjointed because your offense and Dak Prescott are built to win now, but the defense isn't. And do you want to blow all your assets when you might not even have the right personnel on the coaching staff on that side of the ball? I think you're probably going to be best off keeping your powder dry and keeping those assets for the offseason. Now, that sucks to say when you've got 32-year-old Dak Prescott playing at a pretty high level on an individual basis. You're not maximizing your window, but you already made the decision to not maximize your window in 2025 when you traded away Micah Parsons. That's the reality. You can still have all the go get a safety, go get a corner, go get an edge. Go over. It'll be easier maybe, and probably will be easier, to go do that in the offseason. You might just have to take your medicine right now, and that part isn't fun. Use hashtag Cowboys or skip the line altogether via Super Chat. We had Super Chats come in that last section from Hunter M. and Tony Williams. We will get to those on today's mailbag here momentarily. The Super Chat menu, any super is a shout out. $5 equals a raffle entry. $10 gets you 3 raffle entries. I haven't decided what we're going to give away yet. Some decisions to be made there, but signed something, whether it's a jersey or a helmet or a mini helmet. $50 for a shot and $100 for a beer bong. That is the Super Chat menu on today's show. So get your questions in via hashtag Cowboys. Skip the line altogether via the Super Chat, and we'll dive into our mailbag. Oh, you need some time? Sweet. All right, get your questions in. Hashtag Cowboys. Skip the line altogether via Super Chat. Hunter M., Tony Williams, I do see your Super Chats. We will include those in the mailbag cut, so make sure you guys are tuned in for that. Of note again, if you don't use the hashtag Cowboys like Lucid just did, producer Aiden will be unable to find your question. So if you want on the show, outside of the Super Chat side, which you don't have to use the hashtag there. That's a whole separate layer that'll pull it in there from. Make sure you use the hashtag Cowboys so you're set up for success on that front. Doing all right there, or what's up? Okay. All right, well, we have the supers, so we should be okay. All right, so again, get your questions in. Sounds like they all reset on Aiden. So get them in. If you did already, do them again. Hashtag Cowboys. Skip the line altogether via Super Chat. We'll dive into today's mailbag right now. A $5 super thanks from William Cook says, what happened with injuries is something that happens, there's something that is endemic to all teams. There's a general lack of depth on most teams. The season is going to be long. I agree with William. Doesn't mean it's fun, and he's obviously not saying it's fun. Cowboys don't have it the worst. It's not the 49ers anymore. It's the 40 IRs. Like, they are just decimated by injuries, and somehow they're 3-0 because, I don't know, coaching matters or something. Like, it's kind of wild, the amount of injuries the Niners have suffered and keep suffering. I feel like there was some weird voodoo curse to keep McCaffrey healthy, whatever. Like, injuries happen, they suck. Hopefully they stop happening. And it has been frustrating, make no mistake about it. Now, if you want into our weekly game day raffles, simply send in a $5 super thanks. $10 gets you 3 entries, by the way. Every $5 super thanks, you are entered to win our game day raffle. I don't know how to pronounce it. I saw it as the handle is T2, so I'm just going to call it that because that's also what my family calls me because my uncle is a T name and it's just easier. Also Tom. And then we got Theo, so he's T3. Why are you paying a guy like Marquise Bell when you don't use him outside of special teams? I feel like he is way more interchangeable from deep in the box than Donovan Wilson. I would argue that might even be Wanye Thomas, too. I think in general, it's like, it's weird that this goes to Hunter Lipke, too. You paid guys, and then like back-to-back coaching staffs been like, yeah, we don't want to pay Marquise Bell or play Marquise Bell, who was really good for the Cowboys when Dan Quinn played him. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. That's weird. And it'd be one thing if you were playing good on defense, but you're not. So maybe try others. Like, even if they're not practicing great, like, at some point the games have to matter and what you do on the field matters. Like, otherwise it just kind of feels like it's weird coach speak and you're just going to play the guys you like no matter what. From Cole, again, you guys can't get me. It's colonoscopy. With CeeDee Lamb hurt, trade for Tyreek Hill. I think an idea of Tyreek Hill and George Pickens together in the locker room is recipe for fireworks in a bad way, like all the 4th of July videos of like, so-and-so blew up their garage because they lit the firework inside. Like, I don't like that pairing. Not to mention there's the looming constant off-the-field stuff for Tyreek Hill. I would bet the Dolphins would have some interest in trading him away, but I don't want to bring him into the fold. It's also a shorter-term injury for Lamb. Like, I don't want to get into that mix. Now, in general, should the Cowboys trade for a wide receiver? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's show. $5 from Hunter M. He is in to our raffle. Put you into my tracker right now, Hunter. You guys, the highlight of my season. Thanks for what you do. At least we are miserable together, LOL. We'll always be here, except, I guess, for the week I have a kid, which, you know, we're ending it too, so not going to be an issue in the future. Happy to be here, Hunter. Happy to have you here as well, and thank you very much for the congratulations on the new baby. I will let baby Theo pick his own fandom, which reality means my wife gets to have more influence, because the nice part about like being able to watch the game Sunday at home or in the hospital with Theo is like, I won't get to watch many games with my children. Like, I'm always doing them for the Cowboys. So that part actually was kind of nice. $5 from Tony Williams. If you could have either a top 10 corner or a late first edge, what is more important now? Also, who are some DBs and edge rushers coming up next year? So I'm trying to think if he means spending a first-round pick on a corner in the draft and a late first on an edge, or flipping those two. I think for the way the draft shakes out, the edge in top 10, assuming this is what you mean, is probably going to be better for you. Ruben Bain looks incredible right now for the Miami Hurricanes. TJ Parker's been off to kind of a slow start, but Keldrick Falk is a good edge rusher out of Auburn. Both Falk and Bain are actually like kind of big players as well, which I think like might matter if depending on how you feel about Marshawn Nealand and Donovan Zaraku, of how they all fit together there. The corners, I don't see a lot of like top 10 pick worthy corner. Jermon McCoy has not been healthy, obviously. I love what I've seen from Mansour Delane. He could actually maybe be like a later round 1 pick for you. We'll see how AJ Harris plays coming up in a pretty big game for him against Oregon. Avion Terrell is not a top 10 guy for me. I don't know where the hell Cassius Howell goes. He's an undersized edge. That could be maybe more of a late round guy. R. Mason Thomas is undersized. Mateo Ongole has great size. So like the edge class looks pretty good. So I think that's worth mentioning. And I do want to say, if you meant like trade your first for a corner right now and not take the first round edge, I don't think there's a top 10 corner available. I think you're talking draft, but I did want to acknowledge that option as well. Today's show is made possible by Omaha Steaks. Make sure you are listening. You can get an extra $35 off right now at omahasteaks.com with promo code COWBOYS at checkout. They are already doing 50% off site-wide. Our code COWBOYS gets you an extra $35 off. Even if you're not good at math, those savings add up pretty darn quickly. It's not just burgers, by the way, it's more. For example, you can get the classic favorites assortment. It's sirloin, pork chop, steak burgers, jumbo franks, even fries with the extra $35 off. All of that food, well over a week's worth, unless you've got a giant family of food, for under $100 with promo code Cowboys. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit Omaha Steaks for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot Sale event. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code Cowboys at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code Cowboys at checkout. See site for details. Link and the promo code will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. $10 from William Cook, some hopium. Team is healthy after the bye, and Flus figures the defense, and team goes on a winning streak. One can only hope. I hope that's the case. It is indeed hopium. The concern of like the big picture stuff for this Cowboys team in general was the schedule after the bye isn't easy. You know, they get before the bye, Packers, Jets, Panthers, Commanders, Broncos, Cardinals. You kind of need to be like 5 wins there at that point. Otherwise, I'm very concerned about it. And after that's the Raiders, you should win that game. But then it's Eagles, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, Giants. There is a scenario in which those 6 teams you play, Philly, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, are all playoff teams. And maybe 1 or 2's not. That's a gauntlet. And that is what scares me. From Maya, when do you bench Terence Steele? I guess I'm on an island here right now. I don't know if you do. Mostly because I don't know about the alternatives. Now, I'll say this. My expectations for Terence Steele against the Packers, he's not going to play well. It's Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons. And that does not set up well for him. I think he's actually been a good run blocker again this year. The pass protection's still facing issues. He's no longer cheap. You're paying him. I just am not convinced that Hakeem Adeniji or Ajani Cornelius or Nathan Thomas are good enough. That's my concern. I get the frustration. It's valid. Both he and Guyton have not been good enough. You have to show that the quarterback has been so good under pressure at not taking sacks. It kind of mitigates some of that. I don't know what the alternative is. I'm not there yet. Give it a few more weeks. And if you can't protect against the Panthers, who can get no pressure, we can have a different conversation. Would you sit Terence Steele right now? S for start him. You keep playing him. B for you want to put him on the bench. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. S for you want to keep playing him. B for you'd rather bench him. From Poncho, you out on Schoonmaker. I think Spanford looks. Remember, we have the stats for both those guys. If you want to go to those real quick here too, Aiden. I mean, I'm not going to stand in the way of it. I think Spanford's a better blocker, and I kind of felt that last year too. It didn't count on the stat sheet, but that 38, whatever it was, yard catch and run looked awesome. Called back by a penalty. I've never seen Luke Schoonmaker do that really for this team. I am not opposed to giving more reps to Brevin Spanford at tight end too. I think he's a better blocker, and it's not like Schoonmaker's done anything to prove that. So yeah, I don't know if I'm out on Schoonmaker, because I want him to be good. I think a lot of the stuff we were worried about coming out of Michigan has been accurate so far. I'm not doing it as a negative on Schoonmaker. Kind of doing it more as just a negative on or a positive on Spanford. Daniel M. would trade a second and Sam Williams for Trey Hendrickson. My question is this. A, do the Bengals say yes? I don't know if they would. B, what is my game? Because they were not taking that offer in the offseason. They were not taking that offer. They would have asked for a 1. I'm not trading one for Hendrickson. What is my plan long-term with Trey Hendrickson? Because if I'm going to pay him, he might be a free agent after this season. And then I can just not, because he's not going to make me a playoff team, I don't think, at least with what I've seen so far. He absolutely helps. But I'm not trading away a 2 for a rental. And I do worry big picture, okay, cool, I figured out my defensive end room with Hendrickson for the next 3-ish years. Should this team be a buyer? That's my concern, is should this team be a buyer? Let's check in again after week 6. And then maybe even check in again after week 7 and 8. But right now, I'm holding. I'm not doing anything. I'm holding. For more Cowboys news, rumors, live shows, mailbag, everything else in between, hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV for more free Cowboys videos. Hunter M, a $2 super chat, says, trade Dak while his stock is up. What could we get? I think the big factor here is you're probably not going to trade him right now. Teams don't often do this type of blockbuster deal in season. They normally do these types of quarterback trades in the offseason. The Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade. Maybe the Stafford-Goff trade is a reasonable expectation because I think you would be better off going for the picks. That's not how the Cowboys operate. Is they don't like, because if you trade Dak and don't go get an instant starter, you are rebuilding. We watched Joe Milton in the preseason. We can be serious about that. If he continues to play at this level, I think he is worth that Stafford-esque trade package. I question and wonder, would the Cowboys even consider it? Even though I think, we'll see how this year plays out, is something that you should have all cards on the table for. From Wilma, if we lose versus the Packers, is the season over? No, I don't think the season is over if you lose. Now, if you can't win the next two games at New York, at Carolina, it might be. Because I never thought you were going to beat Green Bay. That's been a loss on my prediction. So instead of 2-2, you're 1-3. You got to beat New York. You got to beat Carolina. You're not doing anything if you don't get to 3 wins, I think, by week 6. I think that is the expectation here. Or at least the goal. What is your record prediction for the Cowboys this year? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. David Sullivan, $5 super chat. You need a better secondary. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, perhaps. If you get the good C.J. Gardner-Johnson, of course. Houston was not getting the good C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They were getting the guy who was complaining about his role, pocket watching his teammates. Never a good sign. Wasn't executing properly. You already have communication, assignment issues in the secondary. ESPN reported that the Texans felt that Gardner-Johnson had 3 blown coverages per game in the limited time he was playing. That's bad. So you can kick the tires. My suspicion is you kick the tires, you're going to say, they're flat. I don't want this car. That's my suspicion on the Gardner-Johnson side. I do think you need a better secondary. Maybe kick the tires on Justin Simmons instead. That might actually be a better, potentially, because it is late September, options are never very good, a potentially better option for the Cowboys as we move forward. All right, that is it for today's mailbag. Another one here from Tony Williams says they should focus on drafting secondary before anything. I need edge too, though. I would love Caleb Downs. I don't know if you can get him, though. But I do think, take good players, not developmental guys on defense. It's been your Achilles heel as of late. Take the good players. That could be a secondary player, could be a linebacker, could be a defensive end. Maybe not a defensive tackle, especially early on right now. The super chat menu on today's show. Any super equals a shout out. $5 gets you into our raffle entry. $10 gets you 3 raffle entries. $50 for a shot. $100 for a beer bong. That is the super chat menu on today's show. Who you got on Thursday Night Football coming up later tonight, by the way? C for the Cardinals, S for the Seahawks. Someone said, when was the last time we had an elite safety? You guys know, if you've been watching for a while, how much I want good safety play. It'd be nice to get some of that. I think Caleb Downs is your answer there. I just don't know where he's going to go, / where you'll be drafting. All of that makes it a bit tricky. So, who you got? C for the Cardinals, S for the Seahawks. I think if someone drops to, let's say you're picking 8, which I honestly hope you're not, because that's going to be a not fun season. But, hey, if Downs slides, man, go get him. Maybe an edge slides to you. Just think that's a key part. So, C for the Cowboys, S for the Seahawks. The most comments on today's Cowboys versus Packers preview gets a free raffle entry. So flood the comments section right now. Spam FGB in the comments section. It's the most individual comments will get that free raffle entry. Let's talk week 4. The Packers heavy road favorites against the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium, a place the Packers have never lost. That line inching closer and closer to 7. I would not be shocked if by kickoff there's enough money coming in that it jumps up to 7. Either way, Green Bay heavy favorites in this one. As always, I will make note we are filming this preview as part of our Thursday live show, so it is worth mentioning that sometimes these injury reports and updates do change. The ones to monitor, I don't think CeeDee Lamb will be available. Deron Bland, I think will be available. I think he will play. Diggs is a little bit more on the TBD side. I bet he's going to be listed as questionable. Early prediction because he's not going to be a full participant at practice right now. Zach Tom seems unlikely. Aaron Banks, Javon Bullard all might not be able to go. Also worth mentioning, backup right tackle Anthony Belton is banged up, and all of that means the Packers are banged up, and maybe you could take advantage. And that is our first matchup to watch. Jadeveon Clowney against the Cowboys pass rush, led by newcomer Jadeveon Clowney, against the Packers offensive line. Look, for the first time in Caleb Williams' career, he was not sacked by the Dallas Cowboys. Every other team had taken at least one sack. Dallas didn't get home, and frankly, weren't that close. The closest felt like Ezraku on the boot action and Maz Smith on the flea flicker. That was the closest that they got. I need somebody, I don't care who, I need somebody to step up and show out as a pass rusher. And the last 2 weeks, you know what? That hasn't happened, especially at edge. Kenny Clark has 8 pressures per PFF over the last 2 weeks. Pretty good ratio. He has actually been a very good player for the Dallas Cowboys. Where is everyone else? Osa's winning, but his pass rush win rate is high. The pressures are not. That can be an indication that they're going to come, but until they come, I don't care. Where's Sam Williams? Where's Dante Fowler? Where's Marshawn Nealon? Solomon Thomas has been a good run stopper, actually, which is kind of crazy. Someone's got to show up. Now, it's backups at right tackle, probably backup at left guard. The Browns had the Packers in hell last week. Like, they had no answers. They were doing stunts. They were winning with 4. The difference is Browns had this guy named Myles Garrett that was commanding triple teams at points. Cowboys don't have that guy. If the Cowboys solution is just to run 4 with, bottom 10 stunt rate, I don't know if it's going to work out very well. Who you got in this one? P for the Packers, C for the Cowboys. Let me know in the comments section of today's show, P or C. Let's flip it. Matchup to watch the second. The Cowboys offensive tackles against the Green Bay Packers edge rushers. I hate this matchup for the Cowboys. It terrifies me. It really does. Tyler Guyton has, I think, been a little bit better than maybe he was last year. I thought he was actually, outside of the one really bad whiff, I thought he played pretty well against the Bears, especially in the run game. Terence Steele he's Terence Steele. They're penalty boys right now in frustrating fashion, and they get 2 of the better edge rushers in football right now. It's probably not an accident that the Packers suddenly acquire Micah Parsons, and Rashawn Gary now leads the NFL in sacks. Probably not a coincidence there, is it? Now, Micah's pressure rate remains high. Even though he's not getting the sacks, he had the one pressure that led to an interception. Those are just as good. You can't protect both tackles. That's what makes things challenging. I have an idea to help mitigate that Packers pass rush, but it's also much easier said than done. Today's show is made possible by Omaha Steaks. You guys get an extra $35 off with promo code Cowboys at checkout. That's on top of their 50% off site-wide sale at omahasteaks.com. It is the perfect time to stock up on exceptional flavor, handcrafted flavor, and the convenience that comes with Omaha Steaks as well. We've mentioned some of the classic assortment favorites. It's not the only option that Omaha Steaks has you. There's a wide variety of selection on Omaha Steaks, and it can drop down your price tag. Under $100 for all of that by using promo code Cowboys. So if you haven't already, go check them out. They've been America's original butcher since 1917. They're a family-owned company with over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot Sale event. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code Cowboys at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code Cowboys at checkout. See site for details, links in the comment section and the description of today's show. One way to attempt to mitigate what I think will be a pretty much four-man pressure, two-high shell coverage look from the Packers, run the damn ball. And the Cowboys, when they've been able to run it, they had a bad game script issue against the Bears, which you have to avoid this week. They've run the ball pretty well. In fact, Javonte Williams is the most successful runner in the NFL. His success rate is first among backs, 53.5%. If you can run the football, now's a good week to try it because you don't have CeeDee Lamb. You're down two starters on the offensive line. You should try to protect your defense and protect your offensive line and protect your quarterback if you can run the ball effectively. If you can't run it effectively, it's a compounding issue. What's noteworthy here is the Packers have a really good run defense. That's the problem. They're third in yards per game, fourth in yards per carry, tied for third in explosive runs allowed, 15th in stuff rate, sixth in EPA per carry, second in yards before contact. Not as good after contact, but they're only 31st in run rate faced. Teams have mostly tried to throw it on Green Bay. So it's a smaller sample size. So maybe you could find a way to take advantage of that. Now, the next matchup to watch is the Cowboys coverage unit. They have reportedly changed some of the scheme. In particular, the language is now down to one word in the back end to identify the coverage, which my grade school coverages weren't one word. So that's concerning. The deep ball defense. The Cowboys allowed 415 yards and 5 TDs on deep passes. The second most in the NFL. These are all 20-plus yard throws. 212 and 2 TDs. So double. They're double the next worst deep passing defense. Unreal. Guess who has led the NFL in deep passing since 2023? It's Jordan Love. Yeah. Now, hasn't been as good this year. Simply 4 of 11 for 142 yards. But if I were Matt LaFleur, I'm dialing up a play-action shot to Matthew Golden early in this game. Who is the better quarterback? Now, this is, I think, a very good conversation to have. DP for Dak Prescott, JL for Jordan Love. Let me know in the comments section of today's show, DP or JL. Number 5 matchup to watch. This kind of ties into some of the deep shots. It's the linebackers and the safeties, the spine of your defense against Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft was banged up last week, wasn't as good, still a bit banged up right now. 15 targets, 11 catches, 169 yards, 2 TDs. This is the sneaky answer, for now at least. Who is the Packers' best receiver? It's actually been Tucker Kraft. I am old enough to remember the Cowboys secondary having all kinds of issues against Tucker Kraft in the playoffs. Might happen again. I want to try something new at linebacker. I'm over the Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn experiment. Let's try something else. I want to try something new at safety. Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Wanye Thomas, Marquise Bell. Try Thomas, try Bell. I'm even down to try Leafau. If you're going to do cover 2 stuff, you have to be able to cover the middle of the field. The Cowboys have been unable to. Safeties and that deep hook zone linebacker have killed you. Now, we will be live for the Cowboys against the Packers on Sunday Night Football. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button so you don't miss out. We'll be live an hour before kickoff hour plus before kickoff gets going. Rapid fire, some players to watch in this one. Number 5 is Jake Ferguson. No CeeDee Lamb, I assume, has been ruled out of the film, but he's not going to play. Come on. Fergie's got to do more after the catch. He's been a safety valve, but I want more than just safety valve stuff out of Jake Ferguson. Number 4 is Kenny Clark, the defensive tackle. This is a revenge game for Kenny Clark. And I think you can argue, especially with Bland missing time, he might be your best player on defense right now so far this season. He actually gets pressures, and he's been a very good run defender. That stuff matters. Number 3 is Kevontae Turpin. I kind of think a lot of the schemed up stuff that's gone to CeeDee Lamb is going to go to Kevontae Turpin this week. Got 5 carries for 19 yards, 8 catches for 129 yards this year. I bet he is utilized and involved in this matchup. Number 2, Devon Clowney, the defensive end. He should play, and the Cowboys need something from this edge rusher group. Somebody has to show up here. Otherwise, I just don't know how you can have any success. To not get pressure against Caleb Williams was a damning indictment on this defense. Number 1, it's the new number 1. It's George Pickens. And this, I feel like I'm cheating by putting Pickens on here, but it's true. Don't drop passes. Don't get upset on the sideline. Make your catches. He is now your number 1 wide receiver. He now gets all the attention. He has to show up in this matchup, or the passing offense doesn't have the horses to compete with a team of this caliber in Green Bay. Who you got? Real quick, then I want to get into the super chats. We'll go rapid fire on those and sign off here. P for the Packers, C for the Cowboys, 60% voting for the Cowboys. Exceedingly low on that front. Ed says our pokes are like the Avengers facing Doomsday. Well, I thought Doomsday was Superman. But I think he means Avengers Doomsday, so I think it's like that. We'll see who dies in that one. Good call. Jeremy, and then we're going to sign off here. What if we beat Green Bay and lose to Carolina? Half a dozen of one, 6 of the other. I'll call it a win. But you need to win 2 of your next 3. How about that?